All right, all right. Hey, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. This is a single storyline. We're still wrapping up Mythology Week, so we're going to do one more little mythologically inspired start to a story. And we have Gaia. Of course, we know Gaia as Mother Earth. And in mythology, she's one of the primordial goddesses, one of the really, really, really old ones, born of chaos. So there's like like Erebus, which is like the darkness that is before everything and chaos. And, then eventually we get to, Gaia and Uranus and, we get into the Titans and the Olympians. And so like in mythology, just like in a family tree, we have, like the family lineage of the gods and goddesses. But Gaia is a very ancient goddess. And of course, associated with the earth in Greek mythology. In Delphi in Greece, that became a site where she was like, sometimes these gods and goddesses had, followers or like a cult around them. Little probably different terminology than what we think of cult like now. But they revered her in Delphi. And just as a side note, I've been to Delphi a couple times in my life, and it is so magnificent. It is on a quite steep mountainside, and it's remarkable because you kind of do a switchback trail that goes up, and then there's this gorgeous amphitheater, and it is the most incredible view. But it is like, whew, on a hot day, let me tell you, it's a strenuous little meander up through what was the ancient city and site of Delphi. But absolutely spectacular up in the Pindus mountain range. But yeah, anyway, so we'll keep all that in mind. This is the world. So perhaps we are going to start out with a storytelling about someone who is, part of the world, or, I mean, as we all are, right? Every single one of us belongs here. We're on Earth for a reason. The entire planet belongs, as the identification of home to us. None of us are not home. We all are supposed to be here. That's why we were born on this planet. We're made of the same stuff the earth is. We're very much a part of this. So I'm just going to say I like this because it first and foremost grounds a character and says you are home. Wherever you are, you belong. And I think that's a really nice first message to start with. We do have Capricorn energy. So we will definitely do a Capricorn message because in the collective message I just did, I brought out my little dude, Pan. Told a little story about him, which links us over to Capricorn. And then now we've got Capricorn as the first card out here. So we will definitely do a Capricorn video tonight. Also, we'll get to a Virgo bonus, a Libra bonus, and then I still have to get to Ophiuchus tonight and Gemini for mythology tales. So if you're looking for those will still come up tonight. Four of Wands is our other card. For a single storyline, this reassurance that like you belong here, you're supposed to be here. And there is absolutely somebody for you, is what the universe is saying to whomever our character is. You will find the path that makes you feel like, wow, this is really balanced. This is what I looked for. This is where I want to be. Or the partnership that feels like, oh, this is happy. This is where I belong. This is what I feel connected to. It says that exists. And for our character to like not even have to doubt that. Seven of Cups, that's nice because the universe also says, and just know there's more than one location or place or partnership or career path that will give you that great sense of foundation and happiness. But just know wherever you are, you already have a certain amount of groundedness. But also, this how you can be balanced in life is not just one thing. So it's not like, oh my God, what if I never find it? This starts out by saying, well, you've already found it because you're already home. Now, what do you want to develop? I have this image in my head right now of somebody standing on one of those, are they called Bosu balls? Like the half little ball, and you stand on it and you do the balancing to work on your core strength. I'm picturing somebody doing that. And that's the equivalent of, I think, the way to look at this story so far. You already have a core, but if you're looking to create more balance in your life, sometimes you got to work at it a little bit. That just makes you stronger, more resilient. But to imagine that somehow you aren't enough. I mean, you walked into that gym, you already, are able to stand upright and work against gravity. So already you start out with a great life, a great body, great, power. And then if you're simply there to develop greater balance in your life, which is that Four of Wands speaks of, how will I find my great happiness, my great love, my great perfect job, the perfect living situation, something that really clicks with who I am. The universe is like, well, you might have to work at it a little bit, but there's so many different ways that you can find that happiness. It doesn't mean it's elusive, but you do have to pick, you pick what core exercise you want to do to strengthen the core. Maybe you don't want to do the Bosu ball. Maybe you want to take Pilates. Maybe you want to, do weights or, whatever it is. Think of it more like, hey guys, sorry, I know that buffered on us again. Hopefully it'll stay steady now, but it's just nice to see this reassuring energy that our character has many choices still to make, but that's a positive, not a negative. So the route to this new beginning, this new happiness, I almost feel like this is just a mindset shift for a character. Beautiful. And we have this Queen of Cups. Incidentally, she's a mermaid, but she happens to have like a whole tattooed sleeve down one arm, which is I've never noticed that before on this card. And it's so funny only because it's like, so they're doing tattoos under the sea. She may have a very important tattoo, something that is unique to her. She may have something that she thinks of as precious and just like a component of, I'm hearing that song by Brandy Carlisle, My Story. All of these lines across my face tell you the story of who I am. But it feels like she has something that is unique to her about her own life story. But I feel like if this is going to be the story for a single, possibly feminine, even though I don't read for genders, we just keep getting females. And, of course, the world card starting out as Gaia is Mother Earth. I feel like this is a divine feminine who's starting to fully embrace, like, that's true. I'm maybe a different version of me. I've lived a story of my life and it's changed me, transformed me, but for the better. It's made me more loving, more open-minded. If I'm still seeking my great balance, great happiness, what that looks like for me could be different than when I was 19. She's already a queen, so we assume that she's a little older. She may have a child, whether her child is grown or, she's nurtured something. Like we all nurture things in our life, whether they're human babies, fur babies, businesses, whatever it is. She's brought things into this world and developed things. And usually that goes along with, having some years of life under our belt. So let's put her at around 30 to 50. And she seems to be somebody who's realizing my new beginning in life, the things that I want now, the things that would make me happy and feel balanced, the kind of partner I would want to date. Now, it is true. It's different than who I would have picked when I was 19. I've learned some things. I've learned what really makes me happy. Maybe once upon a time she liked the bad boy. Now she's like, no, I want the nice guy, or gal or whatever her, preferred flavor is. But it just comes across like we have somebody who's so much more content in knowing that I have altered what I'm looking for, but that also gives me the greater potential now to find what I'm looking for. On one hand, she's more open. She may have solidified what she needs, like in a partner or in a job, in order to genuinely be happy, or even say she knows herself better and like, I know what's important to me now. I want to live by the ocean. It doesn't have to be a big fancy house, but I want to be near a water source. I love the water. I know that about me. Come on, I'm a Queen of Cups. That's important. So I want, proximity to water. Or, she said, I know what I want in a work environment. I have a bright mind. I like to be somebody who gets to have some autonomy. I want to do things my way a little bit. I want to be able to be creative. So now I know what kind of career I'm looking for. I got to have some freedom. And when it comes to lovers, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody that matches my energy. And you know who I am? My energy is, I'm a Queen of Cups. I'm emotionally available. I have strong emotions when it comes to things. And I want to be able to be open. I don't want to be with somebody who's like shut down emotionally. So that right there gives her like a baseline of these are my non-negotiables. But then it could also crack open to where it's like, oh, I don't care. I could be attracted to somebody who's tall, short, skinny, fat, dark hairs, light eyes, whatever. Doesn't matter what they look like so much. It's the essence of who they are. That's what I look for in a partner. Doesn't matter if a house is, super big and fancy, or if it's more quaint and cuddly, as long as it's near the water. That's what my non-negotiable is. So on one hand, she's more open. On the other hand, she's more dialed in to what she wants. Keep in mind, this is a new beginning. The World card always represents a new beginning. And she's looking to her future with that 3 of Wands. And there she is in her Pilates pose, yoga pose. Again, with a sleeve tattoo over here and a few on the chest. Definitely this feels like somebody, and she's smiling, she's grinning like crazy. She's looking for peace and serenity in her life. And I would say flexibility. She is flexible while still having a baseline of what she knows she wants. And I think that's like the greatest blend, or at least I think that represents like the greatest blend of, like we said, I could fall in love with somebody who is, what they look like doesn't matter so much. It's the essence of who they are. I'm not looking for somebody, that has to fit a specific intense checklist of certain, characteristics, but rather I want somebody that is like emotionally available. Got a 6 of Wands. She's feeling so much more optimistic because it's way harder in life, I think, anyway, when you have no clue of what you like. Then the idea of like, how am I ever going to find somebody that I like when I don't even know at all what I want? Instead, this says, oh, wait a second. It's not overwhelming to have many, many choices anymore. In fact, we're looking at it instead of being overwhelmed as like, wait a second, I do know the baseline of what I want. And that gives me, several different avenues. Now there's only 7 choices instead of 700 million choices, because it all comes back to me. What do I want my future to look like? And I think she's pretty confident about what she wants, right? We keep seeing this energy of like a peaceful, we got this little canoe sitting here on a lake. We see her very content, very happy. She's saying the next chapter of my life has to be really happy. That's ultimately, that's the other baseline that has to be fulfilled. I got to be happy where I live, who I live with, who I'm sharing my time with, even right down to my client base or whatever I do for work or however I make my money. That I got to be happy in that too. 9 of Swords, King of Wands. There is somebody who still cries over her. I don't know if this is somebody that perhaps, look, we're not going to linger on this card too much, but I have to go ahead and say on this card, we have, I always think of this as like the over controlling mother figure. And it's like this masculine decided to bow to the mother instead of commit fully to the relationship. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Do I pick my partner or do I bow to the whims of a mother figure? And I'm sorry to be so specific about that, but that's always the way I look at that. And I got to say, whomever it is who still cries over her, almost feeling like I still can't decide, do I pick the Queen of Cups or do I pick perhaps this third energy that controls me somewhat? I don't see her saying that I'm waiting for him to pick me or waiting for him to decide. We see her looking at a future. We see her super happy. So I think that that's a moot point. But it's just that side note that somebody still weeps over her. That still feels like they can't seem to figure out how they're going to pick between, like I say, a mother figure possibly and her. But it doesn't matter anymore because she got somebody new coming in. We have got this King of Wands. We got somebody flashy, sexy, warm. I know she said I'm a Queen of Cups, and what I'd like is I want to be happy and I want to have like somebody emotionally available. But a King of Wands could be a pretty nice matchup to a Queen of Cups, because what do you get when you got fire and water? Baby, you got steam. I'm liking that. Hey guys, Violet, so good to see you. We got a 9 of Pentacles. We got somebody single. We got somebody secure. We've got a king. We've got somebody who's nice to birds, hands over his watermelon and shares it with the little animals, the little creatures. That is going to be so freaking endearing to her. meeting somebody who's nice to animals, I could totally see that being a criteria. And much like her, he's been seeking something that is, I'll say, where he wants to open up his heart. Again, here he is with animals. He could be like a veterinarian. He could be somebody that, heck, he could work at a zoo. He could be somebody who's got a farm. He could be a rancher. He could have horses. He could have just been raised around animals. Or maybe this speaks volumes about the kind of person he is. First off, I believe he would be the kind of person, and bear in mind, this could still be a she, but this King of Wands, my impression is, first off, their eyes will be really noticeable, and they could have lighter colored eyes. It's really just on this phoenix, I'm seeing the feathers that are very much like peacock, but it looks like eyeballs to me. I think his eyes are going to be really noticeable, but I'm also wondering if anybody who works with animals and is good to animals, they respect other living creatures as their own, like people. You know, we know that there's limitations as to what they can do for themselves, right? Like Aries doesn't have thumbs, so he can't cook for himself. But in no way, shape, or form, even though Aries is my dog, I am also his human. In no way, shape, or form do I look at him as something that I own. I was a farm kid raised to see them as their own little entities. And so I think respecting other living creatures, I think that's a really big component of him. So I could see him being excellent with animals. Animals may gravitate toward him. And maybe it's because he sees the like sovereignty in living things, their right to live, their right to express themselves, to a certain extent. And I almost feel like his relationship with animals could be really, really good. Now that could be excellent for her. But I think much like her, did you hear Mama talking about you? I think much like her, he has his baseline of what he's looking for. And literally he's been seeking like someone to love. I know I have Freddie Mercury in my head right now. But there's this desire to meet somebody, to find somebody that he could really connect to. And I think that is, I think it speaks really well of him also because he's going to be fairly selective, not judgy, but selective, not controlling, but certainly passionate. I could see that matching for her very, very well. And I almost think this is one of those stories where it's like, remember, on Earth, there's all different kinds of people, but you do have to know what kind of person you're looking for, at least to a certain extent, to start attracting that. And I think that's what this whole story has been about. She needed to get an idea of what is it that I really want? What kind of person do I really want? At least in the grand sense, what would make me happy? And then she starts attracting it. I do want to pull just one last card. I'm petting Aries right now. I do want to pull one last card right here. Aries, do you want to come up and say hi, babes? You want to come up, say hi? No? Okay. Give me 1 second. Ace of Wands, Two of Coins. Yeah. I just wondered why did we even have to see a card on this person who still weeps over her? And it's simply because she's probably going to get a letter from them. They're probably thinking about writing a letter that will still be essentially like, I don't know what to do. This is more to prepare her for the fact that there is still an ex who weeps over her, but cannot seem to make a decision, maybe never could make a decision about what to do. Oh, they want her, but it's almost like, I don't know why they're unable to choose what they want, but that's maybe their journey in this life, because that's kind of the big theme of this whole story, right? At least as I see it, if I step back, the big theme is you have to figure out who you are and what you would kind of like, what version of life would make you happy. It seems like he keeps saying, I know what would make me happy, but I just can't seem to find a way to choose you, even though I want to, but I just can't. So that is, again, this doesn't impact her necessarily, except if she's going to be receiving a letter from them, it may behoove her to be able to say, what I've recently learned about myself is I had to figure out what it is I want, what would make me happy, and then be able to choose that for myself, be able to welcome it in. She's very confident. and she's looking at her future. And I know her future doesn't have the X in it. It's just that the X seems to be just sending one letter to say, I want to pick you. I just don't know how to. I don't think they'll say it that bluntly. I think we have the advantage in this story of seeing, things distilled down to the raw essence. But I don't think that matters anyway. We just see that they need to learn how to do that. Meanwhile, whomever this King of Wands is, they learned how to do the same thing that she has, which is figure out what you want, know that you deserve to be happy, and then go seek that happiness. That's how she's going to cross paths with this amazing person. When is she going to meet this king? I really, really want this king for her. 9 of Wands. Possibly not on a good day. It could be the same day that she receives a message from the ex. This is my Halloween card, though, I got to be honest. So maybe not until October. The Lovers. Oh, I love that. Well, this is Gemini energy. I don't think it's all the way out to Gemini season because we'd have to roll around. But I'm thinking that it very much could be she meets him on a day somewhere not too distant from when she either hears from the ex. That might be the reason that letter energy shows up, because this King of Wands is going to be a breath of fresh air from what the ex was, from somebody who goes, I still can't pick you even though I wish I could. And if you got to hear that, that could be kind of like, wow, that's like salt in a wound. Thank you very much for reminding me that you're not interested in me enough. I'm not good enough to pick. Like, what is it? How am I supposed to take that? It's not, that's not what they're saying. The ex's issue here is I can't pick me. I can't pick my happiness. That's very different than saying, I want to pick you, but I just can't. You're not good enough. I got to pick my mom instead. That would come across, it might come across that way, but that's not what the message is. The real message is I can't in this lifetime find the courage to choose my own happiness and follow my heart. It's like, this feels like it's kind of, it's because this is the Ace of Wands. I want to say they might be hoping that maybe she'll still give them some of her energy or something, because it's like this impassioned, like, I wonder if she would let me still have part of her life, even though I won't fully commit because I got this other third energy. And it doesn't have to be a mother figure. I mean, the third energy can be anything. It could be another partner. I can't get divorced, but I still really want you. It kind of feels like the ex could be hoping for something like, could you be a side piece? Would you accept less? Like, I want to be with you, but would you accept 50%? I think that might be the gist of what their message is. But remember, if we step back further, the real issue here is they can't seem to choose their own happiness. But it could be a breath of fresh air that she may, on the heels of receiving a letter like that, that could understandably throw anybody for a loop. That might be right about the time she meets this breath of fresh air, this amazing, King of Wands who is empowered and free and has been looking for someone really lovely to intentionally choose as their mate, because this is about being chosen by somebody who simply like resonates. It resonates a lot better because I'm going to vote for my own best interest. I'm going to go the route of being with a partner that I choose, that I see making me happy. I think she's going to turn out just fine. I think that this whole situation is turning out beautifully, in fact, and it is definitely a new beginning with that World card. All right, you guys, I have to disappear for just a minute because, as you know, my Aries is here and he's letting me know that, Mama, I have to go on walkabout with you. So I will be back shortly. Thank you guys so much. Tammy Secord, Luminous Marina, Queen Ditch. It's time. Sissy, thank you guys so much. Just me, hi. Hamida Bano, thank you so much for being here. Sweet, you're so cute. I was too hot in the other one I was wearing. The other top I was wearing, it was like, I felt like I was dying. I got sunburned today pretty good too. It doesn't show so much, but like where my hairline is, I have like this white line and then every other part of me is like roasted. But I can feel the heat, when you get sunburned, you can feel the heat emanating from your skin. Yeah, I'm a little overheated still. Just me, Carol, Sandy, Calm Seas. Hello, smile, please. Violet, so great to see you. Hi, Kins. Cherry Coleman, Small TV, Emma-Lisa, Sleep Princess, hey, beauty. Eduardo. Neandria Rini, so great to see you. I hear you, Sandy. Crystal Suzanne, hi. So good to see you. All right, you guys. I'll see you again in just a bit. Carol and Cherry, thanks again, everybody. Courtney Walsh, hi. All right, I shall return. Thank you guys so much for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. If we're going to go live at 10 o'clock, so in 1 hour from now over on Tarot Dog no matter what, but I will still be getting, I think, 5 zodiacs out on this channel tonight, okay? All right, bye, guys.